Hello, welcome to lesson 6.4 from our current unit of adding and subtracting numbers. We spent the last two lessons learning how to add and subtract fractions with like denominators and ones with unlike denominators. Now we're going to add in mixed numbers. Remember, a mixed number is when you have a whole number and a fractional part. So 3 and 4/5, that would be a mixed number. So let's go ahead and see. This is the first thing I need you to write down in your notes. These are the steps that we're going to take whenever we have to add or subtract mixed numbers. The very first thing we do anytime we add and subtract any kind of fraction is to see that they have common denominators. We need to make sure that they have a like number on the bottom of their fraction, on the fraction part. So if we don't have them, we need to make sure we convert those fractions to have common denominators. And once we do that, once we have common denominators, then we can move on to step 2, which is to add or subtract the fractions. Then we go ahead and add and subtract the whole numbers. And then we write our answer as a mixed number and simplify if possible. So let's go ahead and try it out. We have 1 and 4/9 plus 3 and 1/9. Our first step is to check for common denominators and convert if we don't have them. Well, if we look, we happen to have a 9 here and a 9 here. So we have our common denominators. We're done with that step. Step number 2 was to add or subtract the fraction parts. So we're going to take 4/9 and we're going to add it to 1/9. When we do that, we've got our common denominators, so we just add the tops. Remember, adding fractions, don't be lame, just add the tops when the bottoms are the same. It still applies here. So we've got 5/9 as our answer here. Then the third step was to add the whole number part. So now I have a 1 plus a 3 to equal 4. Step 4 is simply to put them back together. We're going to have 4 and 5/9. Step 5, simplify if possible. 5 and 9 don't have any factors in common other than 1, so this is my simplified answer, 4 and 5/9. So let's try another one. We're going to try 3 and 4/9 minus 1 and 1/9. Again, we still want to be looking out for these signs. A lot of you are still struggling with that in your homework quizzes, that you're doing the adding and subtracting correct. You're just not always doing the one you're supposed to do. So make sure that you pay attention. So step 1 again, we're looking for common denominators. We have them. We've got 4/9 and 1/9. So we're going to go ahead and take 4/9 and we're going to subtract 1/9. When we do that, 4 minus 1 is 3, 9, 9, and we still have a 9, so we have 3/9. Then we go 3 minus 1, so we end up with a 2. So our answer is 2 and 3/9. We want to make sure we simplify. 3 and 9 can both be divided by 3. So when I divide the top by 3, I divide the bottom by 3 as well. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So when I simplify it, my answer should be 2 and 1/3. That's my simplified answer. All right, keep going. Aha! Now we finally have one that does not have a common denominator. I've got a 7 and a 2. So the first multiple of both 2 and 7 that they have in common is going to be a 14. So I want to take 6/7 and I want to convert it to something over 14. And then I'm going to take 1/2 and convert that into something over 14. So 7 times 2 gives me 14, so I have to take my top number times 2 as well. 6 times 2 gives me 12. And so I have 12/14 is my equivalent fraction to 6/7. Over here, how did I get from a 2 to a 14? Well, I took it times 7. If I take the bottom number times 7, I have to remember to take the top number times the same amount. 1 times 7 gives me 7. So now I have 8 and 12/14 minus 5 and 7/14. All right. So step 2, work with my fractional part. What do I get when I take 12/14 and I subtract 7/14? Well, my bottom number is the same, so I know it's going to stay the same. I'm still going to have a 14 on the bottom. When I take 12 and subtract 7, I'm left with 5. So 5/14 is my fractional part. The other part, I've got an 8 minus 5. When I take 8 minus 5, I'm left with 3. So I put them back together. I've got 3 and 5/14. 5 can only be divided by 1 and 5. 14 is not divisible by 5, so this is as low as it goes. This is my simplified answer. I've got one more example here that I would like you to do on your own, so we can check it in class tomorrow. You'll notice we're adding, and we have different denominators, so you're going to have to find a common denominator for them and proceed through the 5 steps. So go ahead and pause it and write these answers down, because I have one more slide that I need to show you after this. All right, sometimes when we're done adding, we might get an answer like this. I have 3 and 6/5. So for example, this might have been the problem 1 and 2/5 plus 2 and 4/5. So if we would have gone through our steps, we would have gotten 3 and 6/5 as our answer. Well, the problem is right here. What's wrong with this fraction? I hope you said that it's an improper fraction. If you did, you would know that we have 3 and 6/5. 6/5 is an improper fraction. So what we need to remember is that these are actually kind of separate things. I've got a whole number and a fractional part. That's part of our mixed number. So if I were to change this part back into a fraction, 6/5, I say 5 can go into 6 one time. What's my remainder? What's left over? 1/5 is what's left over. So now I have 3 and 1 and 1/5. I can put them back together. I've got a whole number and a fraction, so I'm going to add it to my whole number. So 3 plus 1 gives me 4, and then my little fraction is 1/5. So what I'm saying is these are equivalent fractions. 3 and 6/5 is the exact same thing as 4 and 1/5. We just had this improper fraction here that we wanted to change back to a mixed number, and then we can add it to our whole number. So 3 and 6/5 is the same thing as 4 and 1/5. That's how we would simplify. So try this one down here. When we split these, we've got a 7, and then we've got 8/6. What does 8/6 become? I'm going to give you just a minute to work on that one. I hope you said that 8/6 equals 1. 6 can go in 8 one time, and I'm left with 2/6 after that. So 1 and 2/6, but hold your horses. 2/6 can be simplified. We can divide them both top and bottom by 2, and we get 1 and 1/3. So when I take this 1 and 1/3 and I add it back here to my whole number, 1 and 1/3 is the same thing as this. When I combine them back together, I get 8 and 1/3 as my simplified fraction. All right, that's all I have for you today. Make sure you get that last problem done. We'll check it in class tomorrow. Have a great night.